was just scrolling through Instagram yesterday when I came across this photoshopped picture of David Dobrik shredded with six-pack abs. So I obviously didn't think much of it. I didn't really find it funny because like, haha, David with muscles, it's so fucking hideous. Moving on. But then I immediately came across a video of him moving and he has these abs and I was just very confused. I quickly find out that this picture was somehow miraculously not photoshopped and was an actual picture of how David Dobrik currently looks like. So I was just confused. And then I find out that David has come out with a brand new vlog about his fitness journey. So obviously I had to go and watch it for research purposes. I literally had to tell myself I would make a video just to justify watching it. So let's talk about it. The video starts off with David going up to his friend Ilya with a proposal saying that he would go through Ilya's transformation program if Ilya would first travel the world with him. Ilya agrees with some hesitation, and the first half of the video is just clips of them traveling the world, partying, doing crazy things. Very much typical David Dobrik video, but I did notice a few slight changes here and there. The first one being that David is in these videos himself way more. If you are an older viewer of David's videos, you would know that he would always be behind the camera filming his friends, and his friends were the main subject of his videos. This led to some criticism of his videos, saying that David was talentless and owed his entire career to his friends, and his friends should have been compensated monetarily for their contribution to David's videos. Now, I actually don't agree with this take because his friends obviously did receive a lot of indirect compensation from appearing in David's vlogs. For example, from their own social media channels blowing up and receiving monetary compensation in that way. I also don't think that David himself not appearing in videos makes him talentless, because nobody would ever say that about a director, for example. Not to compare David to like a legit director, but you can see where I'm coming from here. But okay, back to the newest vlog, I noticed that David actually hired a camera person to document this one, and he himself appeared a lot more in this vlog, which makes me wonder whether this was in response to the criticism that he's been receiving. Throughout these traveling clips, you do see a lot of familiar faces from old Vlog Squad members, obviously Natalie, but also Jonah, Susie, Jason, and Zane, which is sort of indicative of who kind of stuck around after the Jeff Wittick incident. For a quick recap on that, Jeff Wittick got swung around by a crane back in the year 2020, driven by David Dobrik. David, as always, took things a little bit too far, went a little bit too fast, and Jeff got slammed on the side of the crane, leading to permanent brain and eye injuries, which years later, Jeff is still suffering from. And he has to go through surgeries and treatments for his injuries. There's also a long legal battle against David, who was at fault, which David for some reason is fighting, as if it's not literally his fault. So this obviously caused a lot of tension within the group, and some people did choose to associate less with David as a result. And then we move on to the fitness portion of the video, where he follows through with his promise to Ilya and then does indeed get shredded, and that was kind of a really short portion of the video. After that, David shows a short clip of him gifting Jason with their podcast. Now, this is a podcast called Views that Jason and David had for quite a few years back in the day. And even though Jason was receiving a much smaller cut of the podcast revenue than David was, it still ended up being a big portion of Jason's income at the time. So after David Dobrik stopped posting vlogs and canceled the podcast, and the hype around the Vlog Squad slowly started dying down, Jason's YouTube videos also started dying down, which in turn, Jason stopped making money entirely. So he had to turn to the lowest of the low forms of making money on the internet, TikTok Live. Now, I don't really understand how people make money on there. It's like really confusing to me why people would pay others for screaming on TikTok Live. But basically what I gather is that creators get into these battles on TikTok Live where the person who gets the most gifts from viewers wins the battle. So the entire time they're just standing there yelling and begging for gifts. Like, it's so crazy. Imagine explaining this to a Victorian child.
Come on, guys. Gotta get something bigger than that. We need a dino. Official Haunted Beauty. Hey Jason, when will... That's funny. Double points now, right now, guys. Double points. Jason popping off, says Kylie Harrington. Tanner.
A lot of people have been specifically calling out Jason Nash and making fun of him for doing these lives. And honestly, he had been doing a lot of them. Like, I remember coming across a live of him like every day, just scrolling on TikTok. Tana Mojo in particular would always make fun of Jason on probably 10 to 20 different occasions. I'm not even lying.
Can someone make Jason Nash a fucking DoorDash account? If I open my TikTok one more time to seeing him begging for roses on my Live For You page, I'm calling CPS. Have you seen your kids? Have you seen them? And also when they go to school, are their friends like, hey, I saw your dad, like, begging for a galaxy?
But honestly, I always just felt so bad for him. Like, it was clear that this was a point of desperation for him. And while I don't completely agree on the way that he was spending his money when he was actually making a ton, I do feel bad that his income source, i.e. David Dobrik, was cut off completely and he couldn't support his kids anymore. I think he lost his house. So I'm kind of happy for him that he gets his source of income somehow. And you can also just kind of tell that Jason felt so relieved, like he was in literal tears when David told him that they were going to bring the podcast back.
Podcast was at the top of my list, and there was only one man who missed it more than me. It's gonna be fun. We're gonna do it again. Hey, there's no way. There's no way. Oh, man. You're like a really sad news anchor.
And then the video ended with typical gift giving of Teslas. And this time, David really outdid himself by gifting a Tesla to every single one of his employees who worked at his pizza shop. And then Mr. Beast came out of nowhere and gifted a car to Ilya. Pretty random. But all in all, David's vlog was unfortunately quite entertaining. I hate to admit it, but a 14-minute video passed like it was literally 4. I always did like David's vlogs before the whole Jeff situation as well. I don't know if that makes me a sociopath. I'm not a perfect person, and I did this for research purposes only. But as for the responses to the video, this is what Ethan Klein had to say regarding David coming back.
You know what? I'm excited because it's going to give me opportunity to react to his content.
I wonder if someone will get hurt in his first video. Because he just stunts, like that's just normal. So you would assume that he'd pull out a crazy stunt.
Holding my friend's head underwater.
Waterboarding my friends.
Yeah.
Look forward to that. There we go. Dubrik's back, man. That's what's up.
That's what's up.
That's breaking. That's breaking news. Love it.
The comments on David's video himself have also generally been positive, I can't lie. So I even went to the H3 podcast's comments to see if there had been any opposing views, but no, not really. Their comments there have been positive for the most part as well. So I guess people have moved on, and honestly, if there wasn't an ongoing legal battle right now and where David is standing firm saying he was not responsible for what happened to Jeff Wettig for his vlogs, I would say give the man a break, you know? He took like 4 years off from vlogging. The punishment needs to fit the crime. That would have been enough, but like, I just wish instead of gifting so many Teslas to so many randos, he would have reimbursed Jeff for all the pain and suffering that David inflicted on him. I feel like that would still be a cute, heartfelt video that SeatGeek would stand behind. What do you guys think? Please let me know in the comments down below. Is taking 4 years off of vlogging enough of a punishment for what David did? Will you be going back to watching David's vlogs? Please let me know in the comments down below.